back. I was supposed to go live yesterday, y'all. I really did have a whole lot to talk about, but I had just some motherfucking car issues. It kind of pissed me off, so I ain't even feel like going live for real. But make sure y'all share this live, y'all, cause you gotta get the truth out there. Saying false narratives being painted. It's typical what blogs do. It's a blogs is posting right now that Lord Durk paid what 90,000 or 70,000 for the murder of Stephon Mack in retaliation for killing Dthang. Doubt what it is. There's no evidence that Durk paid anything. So I told y'all a while ago. We ran the paperwork a while ago that AJ got caught. They put a federal informant in the cell. I told y'all they do that. They try to hit me with the same play. Not in my cell though, but they when they don't really got a case or when they fishing for evidence, them people get dirty. And what they did was they put a nigga in AJ's cell that was working for the federal government. That was basically a rat. And they got AJ on video on voice recording, basically detailing the whole situation. Now look, he lied also when he was explaining this series of events, because some of the things that he said doesn't line up with the evidence, you know. Now he talks about Ken. You know, Ken was murdered, I think 2024, like June 2024. Ken is the one that's supposed to came to him with this proposition, not Lord Durk. There's no proof that Lord Durk talked to any of these guys about what's up, Doctor, about the murder of Dthang or the financing the murder of Dthang. There's no proof that any of that stuff happened. So what ultimately happened was the feds, since they fishing for information, they fucked up their case on Preston Powell. They fucked up their case on Preston Powell. So everybody know it's two people arrested for the murder of Dthang. AJ and Preston Powell, who they call Marley. So when the feds pulled this move and put this federal agent, this rat, into AJ's cell, similar to what's going on, and I spoke about this the other day when I was talking about the text messages that they were trying to put in Durk case in California, and Didi won a severance. And I think if they allow those text messages to come through, Didi is going to be granted a severance, and the rest of them guys are going to be granted a severance. I actually think that's a smart tactic that them guys. See, people gotta understand, when you got co-defendants, your lawyers are working together. They're working together. And I was talking about, in that case, if Didi gets granted that severance, or the threat of a severance is enough for the federal government to maybe say, you know what, we don't want to use this evidence, because we think we got a stronger case against all those guys together as opposed to separate. Because if the trials were separate, that means certain information you can't use against this person if it's not pertaining to them. You understand? So in the California case, they try to introduce text messages that they say is Durk talking to OTF members. Now, most of these guys that's on this case is not in that text thread. They're not mentioned in the text thread. So if you come back to the Stephon Mack murder trial, right? Preston Powell was implicated in AJ's basically confession to this federal, this rat. that they put in this cell. But AJ isn't testifying to any of these things. AJ isn't snitching. You understand? And law states that you have a right to face your accuser. So being as though AJ isn't testifying to these things that he said to this rat, that gave Preston Powell, defense attorney, enough to say, okay, if y'all going to use this evidence, then we need our case separate, because this evidence of him talking can prejudice my client. And my client didn't say any of these things. Now, if you want to use this evidence against AJ, then cool, but you can't use it against my client. And if y'all going to use this evidence, I want my client case separated. So that's what ultimately ended up happening. So now they got 2 trials instead of 1. You got the trial of AJ, and you got the trial of Preston Powell. So now what the federal government is trying to do is they're trying to use some of these statements that AJ made to this rat against Preston Powell. But they don't reference Preston Powell. They just reference the murder for hire. And, you know, how it played out and the money that was supposed to be given. But his name isn't mentioned. I think the judge is not going to allow that to happen. Because, like I said, AJ is not testifying to any of these things. So, the federal government really ruined their case trying to be slick. Now, I ain't saying they ruined it to the point they can't get a conviction. But they fucked their case up because now the cases are separated. And now you got to separate the evidence. You got to separate the evidence that you found on AJ with the evidence that you got on Preston Powell. You can't use it all as one and paint a story or you know, to try to convict. But these blogs, man, fuck no. But these blogs isn't telling that story. They telling the story of Durk paid this and Durk. There's no proof Durk paid anything, man. There's no proof of it. There's no proof Durk paid anything. Durk is not going to be charged in that case because Durk never talked to these guys. And the guy that AJ said talked to these guys, which is Ken, is dead. So he can't testify to any of these things. But ultimately ended the case. Similar to Juk and Gotti. You know, part of the reason why Gotti, if he played a role in dog shit, you know, I don't think he did, but that's if he did. The reason he was never going to be charged is because Juk is dead, and Juk is the only one that can connect Gotti to the murder of Dolph. Ken is the only one that can connect Lord Durk to this murder. He's the only one. Being as though he's dead, Durk can never be charged. But the blogs isn't telling that story. They're not telling that part of the story, man. They're misleading and misinterpreting the facts for views and likes and comments. AJ might say anything. And in the paperwork we read a couple months ago, he did say anything. So it's like the federal government, they wanted to introduce this evidence when it was obvious, even in his so-called confession, he was lying about certain situations. He made himself seem more involved than he actually was. Based off some of the evidence that they had against him. But I see the story. It's sweeping social media. I'm gonna have a phone now. It's sweeping social media, and I told y'all the feds is playing. I told y'all the feds is playing the social media game. They know once they put out certain paperwork that these blogs that probably work for the federal government is gonna misinterpret it in a way to confuse people and to shape public opinion. I just seen Seti Nash bitch ass copying off me again. I just had to throw that in there. That's what he does, yo. Anything relevant Seti Nash says, yo, more than likely he copied that shit off of me. Sorry, that nigga is. But yeah, he got to talking about how they playing the game with social media. And how they trying to convict them in public opinion. Man, I've been saying that shit for months. Now all of a sudden he do a video talking, what they're doing there, they trying to convict him in public opinion. So it make it easier in court. Like, nigga, that shit came straight out of my mouth, nigga. Bluffing ass, nigga. Stop copying. Why don't you just tell people subscribe? Why don't you just tell people, if you want the truth, subscribe to Keep It G News, man. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Shaking ass. That's what you need to say. Instead of just stealing and shit. But, yeah, though, y'all. What? What's up, cuz? But yeah, though, the feds fucking their case up, man. Just like they fucking their case up in California. Trying to introduce these rap lyrics that the judge is not going to allow to go in the trial. And if we do go in the trial, it's going to be stipulated. Which means brought up on a later date. You know, it could be grounds for appeal. That's what the federal government does, man. A lot of times they're able to get away with it. They're able to get away with it. But I don't know where my phone at. Hope I got that bitch. I'm definitely gonna need it. OTF jam is brought up in the paperwork. Fuck is my phone out, man? Y'all share this live so we can get the truth out there, you know, because you know I always tell y'all the lies spread further faster than the truth. Right now it's a lie being told. They're trying to paint this narrative that Durk is done. Oh, and the most important part, so the message, the motion that's being filed is being filed against Preston Powell. So even, I think did I mention that already? But I'm going to say it again just in case I did. So even with AJ not testifying to this information, the feds is saying that this information that he gave this snitch, you know, because it's not a federal informant. Like, it's not a federal agent. He didn't talk to the police. They put a snitch in the cell. That's why I always tell niggas, you get locked up on a serious case like that, yo, do not talk about your case, yo, because they will put a person around you that'll end up in your case and they'll be testifying on. So what the federal government is trying to do is, like I said, even though AJ is not testifying to any of these details, they're trying to use certain elements of Preston Powell. You didn't hear them saying it again. And like I said, I don't think the Fed is going to allow that. I don't think the judge is going to allow that. He didn't make these statements to the police. Now, if he'd have made them statements to the police, it'd have been open to shut. He didn't make them statements to the police. He made them statements to a fucking federal rat. And that federal rat can't testify on Preston Powell. Because Preston Powell didn't make those statements to that federal rat. So, it makes those statements inadmissible. Watch, y'all gonna see. Just like I told y'all, the lyrics weren't gonna be allowed. Not gonna allow that, man. You can't bring no fucking no statements made against my client to a rat and use them to convict my client when my client can't. Like, how could Preston Powell is not gonna be able to refute this? You know. He can't get AJ on the stand and ask AJ, you know, did you say any of these things? AJ isn't working for the federal government. Can't use it. It's just another attempt at the feds to try to sneak some shit in that they know it's against the law. They know it's against the law. sometimes they be allowed to slide through, you know. Yo, a lot of federal convictions get overturned, man. For things like this. Trying to be slick. Trying to be slick. Yo, where the fuck is my other phone at? Tell me I ain't got my phone. I could have sworn I had that bitch. That's bullshit. I'm trying to go all the way back home. Oh, here you go. I got it. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Look. Look, it's all over the internet. And mind you, yo, outsider runs mymixtape.com. Like, this is not a person of the community. Feds claim that a man met Lord Durk during a 2022 podcast accidentally told his cellmate, undercover agent, that Durk placed a $70K bounty on Stephon Mack. But they running this like this is not going to be used in court. They trying. He actually said way more than that. It's on my page a couple months ago. Said a whole bunch. He did a whole bunch of talking. At least my mixtapes wrote it correctly. Like a lot of these blogs, they ain't even writing this shit right. Hold on. There you go. Federal prosecutors revealed that Mike City AJ told an undercover agent that Lord Durk had placed a 70K bounty to get. He tried to get him to raise it to 90. He didn't say that to a federal agent, yo. He said that shit to a fucking confidential informant. A fucking rat that's trying to get some time took off his case. I can't stand them niggas, man. Niggas be crazy. Niggas get locked up and don't want to go to jail and shit. Nigga, do your time, bitch. It's like everybody else in here gotta do their time. Dirty motherfuckers. But you don't never talk about your kids, man. Ever. I told y'all one of the things my mother told me when I first got booked is don't tell nobody your kids. Nobody. And that bitch lying to niggas. Nah, man. Tell nobody your kids, man. Niggas be thirsty to try to come home. I'm trying to tell you. Dude, you try to line me up, he end up catching life in prison the next day. I said, look at this bitch. Don't try to get a deal off of me. Fuck out of here, nigga. Do your time, bitch. Just nigga. Shouldn't have killed the nigga if we wasn't prepared to go to prison for it. Fuck, boy. Nigga crazy. Make sure y'all share it live, man. Man. This evidence is not going to be used against Durk. I don't even think they're going to allow this evidence against Preston Powell. This evidence is only going to be used against AJ. Mike City AJ. Being stupid. Talking too motherfucking much. Jurors ain't going to allow that shit to be used in this show. Watch. It's like them lyrics. Wait till the rest of them lyrics get tossed out in Durk case. Watch what happens. Because in Durk California case, without them lyrics, they already admitted they don't even have a case. They admitted it. Without these rap lyrics, this is what they wrote to the judge. They call it inextricably intertwined, which means basically that we can't even go forward without this shit. They already threw out the rap lyrics where Durk was talking about what the fuck they would say in one of them songs. He was talking about going on a run and shit. They already tossed that out. They try to introduce lyrics when he talked about placing bounties on people or getting people hit. Judge ain't gonna allow that shit, man. Cause all the defense attorneys would have to do is show that he been talking like this. You know, before any alleged murders took place, he been talking about just a whole bunch of rappers that talk about dropping money on people. They ain't charging no motherfucking murder for hire. That's not evidence of a crime. Now we're gonna see. How about 7? Yeah, I know. I just watched the WishCon video you told me to watch. That's what made me go live and even talk about it. But it's like, it's nothing you can really do about it, yo. Like these dudes don't care. They don't care, man. They just try to get views. That's why most people think Durk is done, because they listen to these blogs that's not being honest about what's going on, or they just misinterpreting the facts. Some of them intentionally do it. Some of them just don't know paperwork and need to stay out of the paperwork business. You feel me? They don't know how to read it. They don't know what they're looking at. They just talking. Just talking. But I just got to work. Make sure y'all share the live. You know, if you see the videos that's being posted, you see the blogs sharing it, just know what you're looking at. Hey man. Yo, motherfucker. This power steering, it's done. I get my motherfucker. Get this bitch fixed. Yeah, just know what you're looking at. And I'm out.